information do you need to answer this question? Robert, what's one thing you need?
How tall is the Big Mac?
How tall is Big Mac? What's another thing we need? The distance to the moon. So let's work on the distance to the moon. That'll be my example of how I want you to fill this out. Then you guys will be in charge of filling this out for how tall is Big Mac. And at some point, are they going to tell you how many inches it is to the moon?
No.
Are they going to tell you the Big Mac's height in feet? Is a Big Mac big enough to be measured in feet?
No.
That's a big Big Mac if it is. So, has everyone gotten here? Is anyone not here yet? All right, the very first thing then I need you to do is says, what information do you need to know to answer the question? Robert said one thing, what's the size of a Big Mac? And then Ade said the distance to the moon. So I'm going to ask that question first. So what I'm going to do on this bullet point right here is I'm going to, what information do I need to know? I need to know the distance to the moon. And Robert even said, I'll even put this in there, how tall is a Big Mac? Or I'm going to say height of Big Mac. Does anyone know the distance to the moon? They just know that's something that they know. Okay, me either. So where can we get that information? Okay, Google. What would I type into Google to figure that out? Distance to the moon. Could I ask Google questions?
Yeah.
What question could I ask Google? What's the distance to the moon? Could I say how many inches to the moon? Maybe. You could try it. Could I say how many feet to the moon? What's a good measurement for distance to the moon? Inches, feet, miles, meters, kilometers. Let's type it. What would we type to figure out distance to the moon? How would you put that into Google? The way that I would do it, I would ask a question. Just because I do it that way does not mean you have to do it that way. But where it says type the search phrases you use to find your information, I'm going to say, how far away is the moon? Some of you might say, what's the distance to the moon? Some of you might say, how many miles away is the moon? As long as you put what you search for right here, that's fine. And now I want to actually search for this, and I don't want to retype it, so I'm going to copy and paste it. If you know how to copy and paste it, go ahead and do that. If you don't, I'm going to explain how to do it right now. Does everyone see that my cursor is blinking at the end of the question mark? Now I want to highlight this whole entire thing. You could click and hold your mouse and highlight that whole entire thing, but sometimes those trackpads are a little finicky, so another way you can do that is press and hold the Shift button, and then you could use the arrow key to highlight. I'm using the left arrow key to highlight, and that'll highlight one character at a time for you. So if you're not using the mouse very well, or the mouse isn't working for you very well, the arrow keys are your friends for this. And then could someone tell me how you would copy that?
Control C.
Control C? Is there any other way to copy besides Control C?
Control A.
Control A selects all.
And right click.
I could right click, and sometimes that works out. In Google Docs, sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't, depending on what you're actually copying. So I'm just going to try to get in the habit of pressing Control C. So Control C means you press and hold the control button, which is in the bottom left-hand side, and then you can tap the C. And it seems like nothing happens. So for me, I press it a bunch to make sure that it really did copy. And then I'm going to go up and open up a new tab. And that new tab, I'm going to go to Google. And Control V is what pastes it, which is right next to C. And then I paste it, press Enter, and then Google answered that question for me. The issue, though, is this one says 238,900 miles. The one below it down here says how far away is the moon. If I read the description, it says 238,855 miles. Down here, it says how far away is the moon. Distance to the moon, it says 252,088 miles. How come those are all different? Okay. Different places? The moon moves over. They use different tools. That's an interesting question. So I need to figure out a site that I'm going to get this from. So I'm going to click, if you notice mine's purple, I'm going to click on that one. So if you see that one, click on that one. If you don't see that one, click on another one. And then I have this distance right here, 238,855 miles.
Yeah, I get it.
If you keep reading, it answers the question that I just asked. So I'm going to highlight that. I'm going to press Control-C. I pressed it twice because I'm paranoid. And then I'm going to go back to my Google document to make sure that I actually get that information in the Google document. So go back here, and it says show the map to answer the questions. One of the things I need to know is distance to the moon, and I'm going to paste that in there. So that's safe for me. I don't need to go back to that website anymore. But I do need to tell people who are reading this page where I got that information. Because I don't want to think that you just made that up. I don't trust you guys. So I need to go up here and say, I got that information from this website right here. And I can't just say Cool Cosmos, because if I go to Cool Cosmos, it might not go to this page. I can't say, how far away is the moon on Cool Cosmos, because I can't figure out where that's at. You need to make it as easy as possible for someone to go and retrace your steps to figure out where is that information. So I don't want to say first, go to Google. Second, type this in. Third, it's the third link down. I just want to go to the website. So the website's up here in the address bar. If you click it, it highlights the whole entire thing, which is good. You can press Control-C, copy it, go back to your document, press Control-V, paste it. But sometimes I click it too many times, and it doesn't highlight the whole thing. And sometimes the web address is like way longer than the address bar, and you don't see the whole entire thing. So I need to figure out a way to select all of it. And someone, I forget who, someone said Control-A.
Yeah.
Control-A selects everything in where the cursor's at. So this is a address box, so it's going to select things in the address box. If you're on a web page and you press Control-A, it'll highlight everything on the web page. So if I'm down here, press Control-A, it highlights all that stuff. When I'm up here, it's not all highlighted. If I press Control-A, it highlights everything for me. What do I want to do with this? I want to copy it, so I'm going to press Control-C, and it copied it for me. Go back to my document. Down here where it says citations, I can press Control-V to paste it. But I want it to look good, and so I'm going to put it at a bullet point. So there's no bullet points down here for you, but to get to bullet points, up here, there's a little bullet point. And you can get custom bullet points, but I'm not that interested in that. So I'm just going to click that, and a bullet point shows up. I press Control-V, paste it in there, and if I press Enter, another bullet point will show up. Are there questions on what we've done? So questions could be, I want to know the distance to the moon. So I thought, well, where could I get that information? I searched Google for how far away is the moon. Found a website. I got the answer, and I cited where I got that website from. What's the next thing you need to do? The next question, which is, what is the next question? What's the height of a Big Mac? You have to say, what's the height? I heard Robert say how tall. There's all sorts of different ways. So you need to tell me, what did you actually search for, and then give me the website that you actually got the information from. This is a frustrating thing, because sometimes you see the information, but you can't get to it. There are sites available that you can get to it, though. You guys have 10 minutes to work on not finishing this, but to work on this. If you have questions, please raise your hand. You guys have 10 minutes to work.